Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with round 18 of season 2 of our F123 My Team career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend at the Losail International Circuit. Formula 1 is back at Qatar. Last season's race weekend here was probably one of my favourites I've ever done on F123. Qatar is an absolutely fantastic circuit. I'm hoping I remember where we've got to go around the venue this weekend. But yeah, really looking forward to coming back to this place. Of course, if you missed out on yesterday's video from Suzuka and Japan, I would highly recommend going back and checking out. Of course, over the next few days, we've got 3 sprint weekends over the next 4 videos. So things are going to get rather busy here on the channel. But yeah, of course, if you're new around here as well, obviously at the moment, we're trying to hit 120,000 subscribers as well. So I would massively appreciate it if you would click that sub button if you haven't already. Of course, daily F123 My Team videos until we win the World Championship. But the development race continuing to heat up at the moment. We've got some more upgrades on the car. Another chassis upgrade has gone on. So we're doing pretty well. You know, we're hanging on closer and closer to the midfield there. You know, your McLarens and your Williams and your Hasses in this series. AlphaTauri, though, seem to be trying to follow on behind us as Alfa Romeo really are struggling right at the back of the field. Championship-wise, drivers' table, we're in a bit of no man's land, to be honest. I think 8th place is looking pretty locked in unless we get a mega result somewhere and to close up the gap to Oscar Piastri. 1 point, though, between us and Alpine in the Constructors is getting a little bit nervous at this stage of the game. Max Verstappen, a 45-point lead at the top of the drivers' table, but George Russell has got some momentum behind him. Are we seeing a reenactment of Season 1 where Verstappen led pretty much throughout the entire season and it just starts fading away right at the very end? It's always a bit of a jump scare coming into a weekend here in Qatar because, of course, you're so used to seeing most footage at night, and then obviously when you jump into free practice 1, of course, it's still sunny, well, a sunny evening, if you will, here at Losail. But roughly remember where I'm going around the venue. I do remember a lot of the practice programs, though, last season were incredibly tough anyway, so we'll see how we fare in that regard. But yeah, just going to try and take it fairly easy, you know, kind of warm ourselves into these programs. As a little bit wide there through turn 2. And yeah, how are we already 3/4 of a second down? Yeah, this lap felt pretty decent, and apparently I'm 3 seconds away from the time we need, so maybe EA, you need to fix some of the practice programs at Qatar. That's kind of ridiculous. A 120 flat, it reckons I should be able to do. Hamilton's only done a 21.7 on softs. Well, tyre management up next then, and to be honest, I'm not convinced. We might be able to do the racing run if that's particularly different, but any other program here, I'm not holding my breath. It reckons a 122.7. That might be doable, but a 120.3 is ridiculous. Okay, well, first lap then, we might have been a bit too hard on the tyres, but as we head out of the final corner, hopefully, I mean, we'll give it another try. Yeah, unfortunately, it is near impossible to hide any sort of representative through those final couple of corners. As we make our way in towards the final turn. Yeah, there needs to be more balancing around Qatar, I can't help but feel, but out of the final corner, I mean, that time around we're slower as well, relative to the Delta, so we'll try the race sim. Well, more and more cars heading out onto the circuit then, but final practice program coming up, and this one's the race simulation run. And I mean, we'll pretty much know immediately, depending on what the target time is, whether this is going to be doable. But up over the start-finish line then, 21.5. I don't fancy my chances. Yeah, I really don't get how EA can get this so badly wrong. Some of these, you know, I get it on a new track, it might be a little bit out, but how on earth it can simulate the cars to be able to go this quickly around here, I don't quite understand. That's been a pretty pointless free practice, but, you know, these things have got to be showcased and talked about. The sun has set, and it is Friday night qualifying here from the Losail circuit. Free practice might be a bit of a write-off. Apparently, it's always going to be a bit of a write-off here in Qatar, but hopefully qualifying, we can try and get ourselves into Q2. We've made Q2 a few times in recent races. The last 2 Grand Prix, didn't we? We didn't quite manage it at Monza a few days ago there. That was due to the limitations of the car. more than anything else. Could not get quick enough down the straights even if I wanted to. So, yeah, let's try and really focus up on trying to get a good lap here, because this place is an absolute... You know, they might have got all the practice programs balanced horrendously. Doesn't take anything away from the fact just how fun this track is to drive. They have modelled it beautifully. You know, I will, you know, I'm more than happy to call out EA and Cody's on the things they don't get right, but credit where it's due as well. I will absolutely give them some credit where it's due, funnily enough. So, yeah, Losail, they've done a fantastic job modelling. This place is all slightly wide. As we come towards the end of Sector 2, I'm probably going to have to learn corner numbers around this place at some point in the future. Logan Sargent, our representative at the moment, so we should get a rough idea of where we're stacking up against him, and we are up by 0.8 of a second as we make our way in towards the final few corners here. I love the fact 2 of those are completely flat, and the final one's just a blend down one more... down one more gear. And, well, it all goes wrong with just 1 corner to go there. We may as well try and finish the lap, just so we've got a delta to go up against on our second run. But you cannot nick those curbs. You absolutely cannot nick those sausage curbs. As that in the final corner, then up towards the line. It's going to be a 26-1. Funnily enough, that's last as Lawson's up in 18th. Well, I've had a quick look at the split times, and, well, if we match what we did in Sector 1 and Sector 2 and match Lawson through Sector 3, we have definitely got the pace to make it into Q2 here. But now it's effectively a one-shot qualifying session for us as we round our way at the final corner, open up the DRS. See the grandstand on the left-hand side. I don't think I've ever noticed that before. That's a massive grandstand, but we have therefore got a lot of people we need to put a show on for. Well, way too ragged through the penultimate corner there, or the third last corner even, I should say, but one more corner to go. Just about able to keep the lap hooked up 5 seconds up then as we head out of the final turn. So big improvement, but will it be enough to see us through and into Q2? A 120.9. I think that's enough. I want to believe it's enough. It is enough. It's P13. Well, there we go. Charles Leclerc fastest at the end of Q1. But yeah, apparently I should be 0.3 away from a Ferrari or matching Mercedes pace on mediums in practice doing a fuel saving program. I love F123. Yeah, Lawson there, a bit disappointed to be honest. Was running a bit quicker early on, but could not get the second lap hooked up. But we're on the money this weekend. We could actually challenge here. Well, we are only going to get 1 shot then here in Q2. And yeah, looking at the pace, I'm not convinced we'll make Q3. Weirdly, though, AlphaTauri and Valtteri Bottas all making it into Q3 then. So this track really is potentially allowing some different cars' strengths to shine through. But 20 seconds left on the clock then. I want to try and get, you know, a mid to high 120, but a clean mid to high 120. There's a horrible little bump on the inside of that penultimate corner there that really wants to try and throw the back end of the car around. We took a bit too much sausage curb there. It's been a bit of a scruffy lap, I won't lie, but out of the final corner, up towards the line. What is the time going to be? A 20.7, so it is an improvement over my Q1 time, but P12, you know what? I'll take it. There we go, having a look at our final times. George Russell then fastest in Q2 ahead of Charles Leclerc, Hamilton and Carlos Sainz. So Red Bull, they're not looking promising at the moment. But yeah, I mean, a tenth and a half away from Q3. Qatar definitely seems to be a bit of a better turnaround for the team. So hopefully we can try and nestle ourselves. You know, I'd love to score points in the sprint.
Welcome to today's sprint. This is shaping up to be another fantastic weekend. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting sprint. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, just ahead of George Russell, who starts this event from P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Sainz, Perez, Leclerc, Verstappen, Norris, Magnussen, Oscar Piastri, Ocon, Gasly, Mr. Monaco, Stroll, Bottas, Tsunoda, Hulkenberg, Théo Pourchaire, Albon, De Vries, Joe, Liam Lawson and Logan Sargent. And with preparations almost complete, let's head trackside for today's sprint. Also here, of course, is Anthony Davidson. They've been involved in a number of costly incidents lately. That's got to affect their mindset going into this race.
Certainly confidence is an important factor. And every time you're involved in an incident, it's not just the car you damage, but that confidence as well. But all the top racing drivers are able to tune that out when the race gets underway and focus on the job at hand.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
Right, well, here we are then, trackside ready for the Qatar sprint race. And, well, we still don't know who Anthony Davidson and Crofty are talking about when they talk about that crash damage. I'm starting to theorise it might actually be Anthony Davidson, because that's what happened when he intros him. A lot of cars starting this thing on softs, but I remember last season we struggled to keep the tyres where we needed them, so I'm just going to go mediums and not worry about it. Well, it's always nice that we get 2 for the price of 1 here at Qatar, but hopefully tonight we can try and move forward in the sprint race. Tyre wear, it's not a particularly abrasive circuit, because of course it's quite a new track, but it's just, yeah, very, very difficult because it's so high speed and a lot of corners around this venue, so I'm not going to risk soft tyres. I'm just going to keep it easy on the mediums and really try to just save them and hope they work for us towards the end of the race. But 5 red lights here in Qatar. As always, a ridiculously long hold on because it's F123 as Magnussen apparently wants to wait even longer. They're down the middle of a couple of cars will go on the run in towards someone, and immediately then up inside the top 10 as Leclerc having to defend from Esteban Ocon. I can see Sainz and Perez up the road as Verstappen and Russell even side by side there, the 2 championship rivals, if you will, going neck and neck through the first couple of corners. Russell's been able to hang on as Hamilton storming off in the lead at the front of the field there. I mean, we've said that a couple of times this year, but he's only made it to the flag once at the front, if I remember correctly, as we make our way down in towards the hairpin on lap 1, trying to look around the outside of Esteban Ocon, see if we can throw him offline slightly, but nothing happening there for us as Oscar Piastri running up in P6, but Lando Norris is one we've got to be careful of late on this season. Of course, we know just how quick and consistent he can be, despite the fact the McLaren car has been anything but impressive this season. But yeah, Charles Leclerc in hot pursuit, I think, of... No, that must obviously be Carlos Sainz, isn't it? Sorry, in hot pursuit of Lewis Hamilton then on just lap 1. Ferrari and Mercedes have been trading pace all weekend, but it was Mercedes that were quickest come the end of Friday night there as we actually nicked the edge of that sausage curb. We got away with it that time around. Hulkenberg up to P11 on his mediums as well, so we might have a bit of a rear gunner behind us. But as we round our way out of the final corner, we've just about survived lap 1. Leclerc trying to look around the outside of Oscar Piastri once more, and the Ferrari straight line speed is going to try and carry him into towards the first corner there. They're 2 by 2 up the road. I think that was Russell and Verstappen again going side by side, and that time around Verstappen has made it work. A crucial move for Red Bull. Here goes Ocon then to the inside of Lando Norris back down towards turn 1, and I wouldn't mind if they both lost the DRS to the cars in front of them. Oscar Piastri just in front as well there, as Ocon very aggressive in slamming the door on the Brit now behind him. They could have been teammates apparently. McLaren rumoured to have been sniffing around for Esteban Ocon's services back in 2019 allegedly, but never did come to fruition as we make our way through this first sector once again. We're just trying to hang close early on as Oscar's actually on a set of mediums as well. So if he loses touch with the front runners, that could be really good. Right, let's see what sort of top end speed we've got then as we head out of the final corner. Gaining on Lando Norris then. Almost 20 miles an hour. So, Lando there just tried to move around a bit more than I liked into the braking zone. He'll get a big moment of oversteer off the corner, but he's already dropping back from Ocon a bit. So, yeah, got to be careful. Oh, yellow's out. Someone's got issues. Is that Oscar Piastri in front? I think it is. Oscar Piastri having to peel kind of out the way there as Lando Norris and I will both get thrown off trying to avoid the Aston Martin, but a huge shower of smoke coming out of the back of that car. And now suddenly we're just one place outside the points there. Heartbreak for Oscar, but I'm not complaining. I think we're starting to see a switch between the soft tyres having the advantage and maybe the mediums now coming into their own, as not able to attack through that final corner in the way I should be. Well, are we going to be able to try and get a run on Lando and Esteban as we head back down towards someone? Such a long front straight here, but we're not seeing as many overtakes as we would expect. 220 miles an hour there as Lando Norris down the inside of Esteban Ocon. Can we just try and wait with 3 wide off the corner? And I'm just going to get squeezed out of that one all of a sudden. I don't know how we ended up in that situation, but somehow we all make it work and no one gains anything and no one lost anything either. Crazy racing. And of course, remember, in this hypothetical universe as well, all 3 of us are Formula 1 race winners. Esteban Ocon, of course, back at the Hungaroring in 2021. Myself in Mexico last season, Austria this season. And of course, Lando Norris won the inaugural Las Vegas Grand Prix as well in this series after a fantastic strategic effort by McLaren. But yeah, now we've got Magnussen as well in the party. He is not a Formula 1 race winner in any hypothetical universe that we're currently partaking in, so he's kind of cramped the style there. Lando Norris, Esteban Ocon, round 2 then, in towards the first corner, and will we see Ocon this time around be able to hang on a little bit better? Still going to be trying to get there, as we might try and switch Lando off the corner. No, Lando Norris, though, still trying to make it work off of turn 4. I think he might just have pulled it off then. He'll have the inside for the next couple of corners. Oh, Ocon then, not afraid to try and turn in and trade some paint as we're just sat waiting in the wings. Oh, I really should have probably sent it down the inside of Lando at the hairpin, but again, somehow Ocon hanging on. We've got more yellow flags out. Don't say it's a Mercedes at the front of the field. I think it might be George Russell. So George Russell, of course, trying to fight Max Verstappen for the World Championship, and Mercedes have already had 1 power unit failure, and Oscar Piastri's car tonight had Lewis Hamilton, of course, mechanical failure in Singapore last weekend, and George Russell is out of the Qatar GP sprint race. So not only does that compromise in points today, but he's going to have so much work to do tomorrow. And I'm sure Max Verstappen is sat in that Red Bull car with a big grin on his face seeing that. Starting to get a little bit bored though, stuck behind Ocon and Lando Norris. So this time round as we head down towards turn 1. Whoa, Lando trying to have a look down the inside of Esteban as well. You just catch up right at the last moment in towards that first corner, and for the 3rd time in a row, we are just left with nowhere to go. Down at that turn 1, we've got to get our elbows out. But I'm trying to save battery. I'm waiting for their tyres to die. Oh, we got yellows out as well. Someone else has gone round. It's a Red Bull. It's Verstappen. Verstappen's gone round Lando Norris. As I've done an illegal overtake on Lando. So Verstappen, he might well have had a grin on his face just a few moments ago. But the Dutchman going for a spin now here in Qatar. What on earth is happening tonight? Well, I don't really think Lewis Hamilton is in the championship fight, but if he can walk away with a couple of wins this weekend, and I mean Russell and Verstappen don't score anything, maybe it could be a whole lot closer than he ever envisioned. I mean, Charles Leclerc, Sergio Perez, Carlos Sainz as well, surely sensed an opportunity from all this. Is down around the outside, Lando will go in towards turn 1. 2 laps left of this Qatar GP sprint race, and suddenly now we're up to 6th place then, just by kind of waiting for trouble to happen in front of me. We need to try and stay close to Ocon, because I might be able to get him onto the last lap. The exceptions of perhaps Monaco. This might be the first time on F123 where I feel like I haven't actually had a time to use all of my battery as we make our way then to start the final lap. Lewis Hamilton clear out in front here in Losail. Of course, won the inaugural race here back in 2021, but Esteban Ocon, you got nothing, mate. Goodbye. So we head back down in towards the first corner, and we are now up to 5th place then. Remember, we started this thing from P12, but 3 cars with issues in front of me. A good little start as well. We have absolutely been able to maximise the performance here this evening, as, I mean, yeah, we've still got Perez fighting out with both Ferrari cars, because, of course, they all now sense an opportunity as well to try and cut closer to Verstappen at the top of the table. And the Dutchman, I mean, he span here last year, didn't he? If I remember correctly. I feel like Verstappen span around this venue as well last season, so clearly he does not like the Losail circuit on F123. Yeah, bizarre, but Hamilton, though, as he winds his way in towards the final few corners, I don't think he can really complain with how this sprint race has gone. Got pole on Friday night, kept on to the lead at the start, was under a bit of pressure from Carlos Sainz in the early stages, but really has had the pace to control this thing from the front. Definitely felt like the mediums were the right way to go around this venue, as well. We still got half a lap of fuel, so I don't know why it's flashing red at me, but rounding through the final couple of corners, Hamilton, he's run out of fuel as we head up towards the line. Will he have enough? Just about. Hamilton hangs on at the front of the field there. Sainz in P2, Perez in 3rd. That was like the Cars movie at the end, but we come through for P5.
All right, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
And now let's take a look at the driver's standings. Well, that wraps up the sprint. All that remains is the main event. We'll be live and uninterrupted for the Grand Prix tomorrow, so make sure you join us then.
Well, there we go. Hamilton victorious here on Saturday night. Half a second, though. Covered our top 3 cars come the checkered flag there, with Lewis running out of fuel. Charles Leclerc in 4th ahead of myself, Ocon, Norris, Kevin Magnussen rounding out our points finishes there. But yeah, Verstappen, Piastri and George Russell all with issues in this evening's sprint race. Championship-wise, of course, the gap's still at the top 35 points there, but Perez now within 2 race victories. Carlos Sainz, Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton. If Hamilton gets a win and the other 2 finish on the podium, they could all be 50 points back from the Dutchman with just a handful of races to go. This could end up being a mega title fight with just a handful of races left. Could Singapore really come back to haunt Lewis Hamilton there, constructors-wise as well? We gained 1 point over Alpine as, yeah, Mercedes and Ferrari in hot pursuit of Red Bull.
Welcome back to Qatar and the Losail International Circuit. There's a long history of two-wheeled motorsport action here, but in 2021, Lewis Hamilton won out as part of an epic battle that year with Max Verstappen. But who will win out tonight? So we're back here in Losail, and this is the track map. 3.34 miles, 16 turns, and just 1 DRS zone out of turn 16. It's already a fast and flowing track after all. There's a good overtaking opportunity with DRS, though, through the long straight and into turn 1. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, and the smooth operator Carlos Sainz completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Perez, Leclerc, Mr. Monaco, Ocon, Norris, Magnussen, Gasly, Stroll, Théo Pourchaire, Albon, De Vries, Bottas, Verstappen, Liam Lawson, Sargent, Sonoda, Hulkenberg, Joe, Russell and Oscar Piastri. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race. Anthony Davidson, a lot of talented drivers out on the track today, but what will stand out for you?
My focus is 100% on the front of the grid. Like you said, we're seeing a lot of strong competition across those positions, so it'll be super interesting to see the fight for that front spot. Personally speaking, I'm hoping for plenty of overtakes.
Well, you'd think with how often Anthony Davidson gives Max Verstappen driver of the day, he's just hoping that the Dutchman will come from the back to win this thing. But in terms of strategy, though, absolutely not risking it on the softer compounds. Going to go medium to hard today. We know what the mediums were like in in the sprint race. Probably won't take him as far as the game originally thought. Will only take him about 12 laps, I reckon, and then go long on the hards later in the afternoon. But yeah, I mean, if we get an opportunity to potentially, mix in with those front runners, I'm going to take it early on. It's been a while. I mean, this is a huge opportunity for the 4 drivers in front of me this afternoon. If any of them want any chance at a World Championship this year, they are going to be going all out for the victory here tonight. Perez made the mistake in Singapore. Hamilton, of course, had the engine failure in Singapore. Sainz was brutally consistent early on in the campaign, but made a few mistakes later on, and Charles Leclerc just has had no luck this season. But there is all still to play for. Russell and Verstappen are 2 big protagonists at the back of the grid. And we are just sitting pretty in P5. Maybe we'll watch the fireworks in front of us early on. But 5 red lights here in Qatar. Lights out and away we go. And Charles Leclerc, they're responding very well. Hamilton covering off Carlos Sainz immediately as we head down in towards someone. There is Leclerc. Will slot in ahead of the Red Bull there down at turn 1. That was scary. Pierre Gasly there, didn't he? He'd actually try and keep the nose up the inside, but we almost get taken out immediately this afternoon as well, showing the exit off of turn 2 there already. They're getting out of the 1 second DRS zone of our front four as again Gasly trying. I mean, that one felt like a bit more of a ridiculous move there at the top of the hill. I was already turning in for the corner by the time he finally shoved the nose in. I think a day late and a dollar short is probably the best way to describe that one. But Hamilton hangs on to the lead then off the start. But again, we've said that before so far this season. Still only one win for that Mercedes man's name, of course, back at the Monaco Grand Prix. Well, feels like a very, very long time ago. But can he finally make it win number 2 here tonight in Singapore? Should have won, or definitely could have won, last weekend in Singapore, but that engine failure early on ruined any opportunity he was going to have around Marina Bay. But as we make our way then through the final couple of corners of lap 1, Pierre Gasly still sat in P6 just behind us, but today is probably going to be a lot of focusing on our mirrors. We had a mega sprint race yesterday, but yeah, we're not going to keep up with the front runners today, as already Leclerc trying to go on the offensive on Carlos Sainz. Sainz actually on a set of mediums there, so that's quite interesting. As Hamilton trying to do what he did in the sprint, streak away at the start as Leclerc. Maybe Ferrari telling their drivers just to swap around, let the soft tyres work for him as the yellow flag's out. Surely someone's not having an engine failure just yet here on Sunday. We've got a car going slowly. Yes, we have. Oh, it's one of the Williams. So Logan Sargent out for the second weekend in a row on just lap 2 and our third Mercedes power unit failure here in Losail. What on earth is happening? Hamilton streaking away at the front of the field, but Leclerc and Sainz really are helping him out, battling each other. Perez probably got the best view to watch this one early on this afternoon, but now DRS is going to be enabled. There is the stricken Williams of Logan Sargent. I can't believe that. On just lap 2 of the main event here. We've actually got an engine warning light on as well, but I'm guessing that's gearbox. Yep, gearbox again. There is Gasly. A third ridiculous lunge at me early on today. I tell you what though, all this squabbling going on between our front runners early on here, they're not getting away from myself. Maybe with the exception of Lewis Hamilton, who is looking like he just wants to check out this evening. But yeah, Leclerc versus Perez and Sainz really are tripping over each other early on, and I'm just hanging close as I dare. Oh, Perez, big mistake down at turn 1 as well. Charles Leclerc will say thank you very much, and so will I, because now I might be hanging on in the DRS range and on harder tyres. That works out beautifully. Sainz on the mediums as well, so he's trying to do the same strategy as me. But it looks like probably the AI are going to be able to one-stop it either way. So yeah, Sainz might still struggle a bit later on against these two, but Perez and Leclerc both making little errors early on. Here goes Perez back down the inside of Leclerc at turn 1, and again they're going to almost bang wheels through that first corner, and really these two should be working together to try and stay close to Carlos Sainz, unless Leclerc's been told fight him for all you're worth early on. You just never quite know what Ferrari are thinking. Often it's nothing at all. But yeah, we're enjoying it. It's fantastic for us. Oh, Perez late move again to the inside of Charlie Boy down at turn 1, so clearly trying to rustle the Ferrari's feathers, and he's made it through. We got more yellows out. A Haas behind us. That's Lance Stroll that's made a bit of an error, and we got a red flag. Okay, so Stroll's caused chaos then, apparently, but a bit further behind. I wish there was a way you could view the replays when a red flag comes out, but unfortunately, even if you save the replay, it just completely skips the laps. But what do we do? Okay, set of hards to the end is a long old way, but I mean, that's all we really can do at the moment. Restarting then in P5. Perez on mediums, that's brave. But 5 red lights, and it's lights out and away we go there. Or not if it's Carlos Sainz and myself, as Perez almost to the lead as we go 3 wide with the Ferraris down towards turn 1. So that's been a bit more dramatic than I was expecting down at the first corner. Hamilton trying to hang on to the lead that he built up off the start there, and it looks like he just about will through turn 2. But look at Perez going for it. The Mexican suddenly now has absolutely come alive, maybe a bit fired up from all that battling with Charles Leclerc. We're up to P4 off of this restart. It's Hamilton trying to hook it up around the inside of the Mexican through the next couple of corners, and Perez is through and up into the lead of the Grand Prix there. Hamilton is on a set of hards as well, though, so surely Perez has got a pit before this race is over. But yeah, the Mexican, though, up into the lead of the Grand Prix, so I mean, surely you can't take those tyres 20 laps to the end. We might be in a net P3 here. I mean, to be fair to Sergio Perez, if he can break free at the front of the field, which I think Hamilton is going to do everything within his power to stop him from doing so, if he could build, you know, like a 10-second lead by the time he pits, soft tyres to the end would still be phenomenally quick here. We know the Qatar pit lane actually does take a lot of time just because it's incredibly long. You know, it'd probably be a whole lot better if it was actually only out of the final corner you would peel into the pit lane rather than navigating through the final turn as well. But are we now going to be able to try and hang on to Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton, or are we just going to get swallowed up by Sainz and Magnussen? I've got no idea what happened to Gasly, but I appreciate the fact we're not getting dived at every single corner. It's Perez giving it everything he's got. New fast lap of the day. So I don't know, Hamilton must be right on the cusp of being in that range or not on the Red Bull, but 4 cars from 4 different teams making up our top 4 at the moment. This is fantastic racing. I don't, to be honest, I'm just kind of speechless at where this pace has come from. Really does go to show when this car's, you know, right with the midfield runners, it has got some fantastic pace underneath it, but it's just when we start losing out in the development race, it all falls apart so quickly. I'm just monitoring the gap behind us at the moment, actually, to Carlos Sainz, and actually the gap between him and Kevin Magnussen. It looks like Verstappen is already up to 7th place here this afternoon. How has the Dutchman done that? Clearly been on an absolute tear in the opening stage of this Grand Prix. I mean, George Russell has made progress, but nothing like Max Verstappen has so far today. I mean, maybe he's also on a set of mediums and might have to pit before this race is over, but I mean, if Magnussen drops out the DRS range of Carlos Sainz, I probably won't feel too worried if Sainz gets past me, just for the fact that I am very, very conscious that we might be taking too much out of these tyres. They've got to go a long way here. 20 laps on a set of hards. Sorry? What are the fronts at? Okay, they're not going to the end of the race, so we're going to have to try and box onto either a set of mediums or a set of softs later on. There we go, Magnussen has now dropped out of my DRS range as he apparently got the jump on Carlos Sainz somewhere. Sainz now moving back past him though, so probably was a run back down in towards turn 1, but yeah, there's no way I'm going to be able to take these hards to the end if we've already taken 35% out of them. Probably the plan is now get them to about the end of 20, the end of 21, and then go softs to the end, so then we're just super fast, but please don't say the AI are going to be able to do this thing really easily and I'm going to get screwed out of a mega result. What would upset me even more than if Hamilton and Leclerc are able to go to the end is if Perez can on a set of mediums. I see no way in which our tyre wear can be worse than his, but that much worse than Sergio Perez's. But I'm holding out hope that the AI are going to have to pit again before this race is down and out. Verstappen now up to 6th place then, so depending, well, even whoever wins this thing is probably not going to gain much on the Dutchman in the championship. And clearly, I mean, these are weekends, despite making that error early on, Max Verstappen is absolutely coming alive. They're never going to get us to the end of this race, Mark. How on earth do you expect tyres that are less than halfway through a stint at 55% wear to get us to the end of the Grand Prix? Surely. I mean, what would work out beautifully is if we've got a safety car or another red flag, but how do they expect us to do this? Charles Leclerc's definitely slowing down then. I think the same can be said for Hamilton at the moment, because maybe they are still trying to get those tyres to the end. It's Leclerc, a little bit of a mistake out of the final corner. Are we now going to be able to get a run on the Ferrari as we head back down towards turn 1 there? He's going to go defensive on me. Clearly he's worried about it. To the outside of Charles Leclerc will swoop into the turn 1 apex. But the Ferrari car's got so much grip, and yeah, we just can't hold it there through tier 2. Right, end of lap 20 then. I'm going to be boxing at the end of this lap. Tyre wear warning lights already come up, as Leclerc and I both closing in on Hamilton down at turn 1, but this is make or break for us. This weekend here at Qatar has really showcased the pace this car's got again, but has it all been for nothing, as that was a little bit wide. I want to see the AI's tyres hit the biggest clip you've ever seen. There's no chance that they can go double the distance I can on a set of tyres inside F123. Heading down in through the pit lane though. Still got to remember how this pit lane works. So we'll try and get it slowed down. A little bit cautious on the way in, but rather be a little bit cautious than speed and obviously pick up a 5-second penalty. But Albon up into P8 then. He's on a set of mediums as well. Surely they can't make a set of medium tyres last 20 laps here to the end of the race. Come on, clean, tidy stop for us. Yes, there we go. So we are going to re-emerge probably just ahead of Zhou Guanyu and our teammate. As we've got yellow flags out. Haas car seems to have spanned. Please don't give us a red flag now. Please don't give us a red flag now. I take a safety car, but not a red flag. As that is Lance Stroll again. Same place he went off earlier on. I think Bottas and TR120 having a bit of a battle in front of us. And look at how much this is concertinaing up all the AI behind. And these guys should just be easy pickings for us at the moment there. Almost into the back of Yuki Tsunoda. We'll get down the inside through the next corner. Warning there. I think that was justified, to be completely honest. It's down the inside. I hope we'll go. Come on, man. Bottas and Pourchaire, though, still side by side as we head up in towards the next couple of corners. And that time around, Pourchaire will make it work. But we're losing so much time behind these AI at the moment. So we just try and get around Nick de Vries as we head through the final couple of corners. Slow in, fast out, but just too fast on the way out. And having to get on the anchors once again as we make our way out of the final corner. Though surely this time around we get a slingshot. There we go. Already alongside Nick de Vries by the time we hit the DRS zone, as Bottas is going to be gaining. Pourchaire has got nowhere to go down the inside. We get a warning for exceeding track limits. Well, that was a little bit harsh. Bottas kind of forced me down there, but that's a triple overtake on the run back down towards turn 1. But we are still 10 seconds away from the points with 7 laps to go. Okay, that 10-second gap, new fastest lap of the day. This is not over. The AI are really starting to struggle on their tyres now, and we are taking time out of them through all of the twisty bits. You can see on the Delta, the gap coming down to Oscar Piastri. Hand over fist at the moment. Some of that will, of course, be attributed to the much softer tyres, but I think, you know, the AI shouldn't be this slow unless they're really struggling on their rubber. I mean, surely those medium tyres that a couple of cars are running on are practically punctured at this point. Perez, I can see visually now losing more and more time to Lewis Hamilton behind him. But 4 laps to go here in Losail. I can see the points, they're right there in front of us, but I want big points today. And I wonder just how slow Esteban Ocon is going to be through these next few corners, or a little bit wide there. Get a nice tidy line through the next couple of turns. We should be able to get to the inside of him somewhere. Inside, outside, I don't care. I think we've got the grip at the moment to do just about anything, and it will be the outside. No, it won't. Ocon just trying to slam the door on me as we make it up through one of the many hairpins. Whoa, around this venue. You never have to break through there. That's how much the AI is struggling at the moment. You never break through that corner, but of course all the time you spend stuck behind one car gives every other car in front of them a little bit of a helping hand, because it stops us getting closer to them. So we wind our way through here. You can see practically pushing Esteban Ocon along. So we make our way down in towards the penultimate turn. Slow in, fast out. This is going to have to be the line. We'll get to the outsiders. Oh, look at that. Some AI are now pitting. We're just a handful of laps to go. They really have not been able to stretch it as far as they wanted. And Ocon now is going to be a sitting duck as we head out of the final corner. DRS enabled, and Ferrari, they've given up on it. 3 laps to go. They have peeled into the pit lane. I mean, are we going to see any more AI pit before the end of this? Surely they get to a stage late enough in the day where they just want to try and hang on. Perez is staying out for yet another lap. Hamilton, though, is into the pit lane. I'm too busy watching the mini-map rather than where I'm meant to be going. So we make our way through the final couple of corners. The joys are trying to commentate as you drive. We've got another couple into the pits, though. Here, Gasly deciding he's going to peel in. Have we seen Verstappen in? No, so he's now up at a P3 then of this race. Could Verstappen in all of this still walk away with a mega result? There is this Aston Martins and Red Bull that have opted to try and stay out here to the outside of Oscar Piastri. Surely he's going to be able to do nothing in towards turn 1 there. Albon as well, sorry. Still hanging out there on his mediums as Liam Lawson even into the pit lane as well, but this is getting really dramatic right towards the end. 2 laps to go here, and still a lot could change. Verstappen is still 7 seconds up the road, but there's a small part of me that wonders whether we're going to be able to get him here. Is Perez peeling in? Perez is into the pits with 1 lap to go. What on earth is happening? Why would Checo do that? So Verstappen surely has got to hang out there. No, he's in as well. So that means Kevin Magnussen is going to start the last lap potentially in the lead. Albon is into the pit lane as well, and so we're going to be up to P2 as we go into the final lap. And I literally said earlier on in this weekend that Magnussen is not a Formula 1 Grand Prix winner. We have got 7.5 seconds to close down the Aston Martin on this final lap. He is the only one ahead of me, still trying to hang it out there. Oscar Piastri is doing the same. And I mean, we only took 2 seconds out of Oscar last lap, so unless Kevin gets a puncture, have Aston Martin pulled a blinder here and could potentially be on for 2 Grand Prix victories inside 3 races. They're like buses. They don't get a win for years in the sport, and suddenly 2 come along at once. Kevin Magnussen here in Losail. He might only lead 1 lap. He might only lead 1 lap inside F123 for all I know, but it could be such an important one for the Dane there. We are taking time out of him absolutely everywhere, but it is not going to be enough. Charles Leclerc seems to have won out all the midfielders. Ferrari have clearly pulled the blinder on that strategy to keep him ahead of Hamilton and Sergio Perez. But Magnussen in towards the final few corners of the Qatar Grand Prix. I'm so happy this strategy worked out for us in the end. I thought 20 laps was far too ridiculous for the AI, but Magnussen through the final couple of corners. You know what? The Dane's going to do it, and fair play to him. Apparently a tyre whisperer through the final corner. Kevin Magnussen and Aston Martin are Grand Prix winners yet again. He has run out of fuel them up towards the line, so this is going to get very, very close, but Magnussen has done it, and we'll take P2.
A victory for Aston Martin. The team will certainly be celebrating tonight. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I think the key here was just the quality of the racecraft, you know? I mean, how many overtakes did they make overall? I'm sure we have a stat person keeping score somewhere, and it was fantastic to watch, wasn't it? This is a strategic sport at the end of the day, but it's always really gratifying to see close-fought battles on track. It's what all the fans are after.
It's time to present the top drivers with their trophies for today's Grand Prix. And there are a lot of people in the paddock very happy with this result. It's Aston Martin on the top step. And after this round of the World Championship, here's how things look in the drivers' table. Max Verstappen should be pleased with his performance, making gains at the top of the table. Now, let's discuss, Ant. Who would you say is a contender for driver of the day?
Max Verstappen seemed to just effortlessly weave through the other drivers today without a care in the world. He was definitely my driver of choice.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. And pulling further ahead in the standings, it's Red Bull. Well, what an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
Well, fair play. We hyped this weekend up as an opportunity for the likes of Hamilton, Leclerc and Perez to try and close points on Verstappen. Didn't think it was going to be Kevin Magnussen that did that, though. The Dane, on the ballsiest one-stop strategy there, will come away with the dub. Fantastic to see by him. We come through. I think that's our first ever second place on F123, and Oscar Piastri 22nd to 4th there. How on earth Aston Martin did that, I will never quite understand, but fair play to them. They took a brave strategy and they really, really were able to make it work. Verstappen hung on to P7 in the end, so he still outscored Sainz and George Russell in the battle of the front runners. But, I mean, yeah, only Logan Sargent, of course, unable to make it to the checkered flag. It does mean championship-wise, he's got a 39-point lead. But, yeah, that has gone up this weekend somehow for Max Verstappen there. Sergio Perez, 48 points back. Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz and Hamilton. I think it's a question of when rather than if they are going to be out of the championship fight before we make it over to Abu Dhabi. 23 points back now behind Oscar Piastri. But with that result, Magnussen leapfrogs his way ahead of Lando Norris and up into P9 there. And that means now, I'm pretty certain 9 drivers have won races this season, which is absolutely mental. Clearly, the new regulations are working there. Constructors-wise, though, we pull a big gap ahead of Alpine once again there. I wouldn't quite say we're safe, but I think we're definitely getting safer as Mercedes still 4 points ahead of Ferrari as they continue to close in on Red Bull at the top. But thank you all so much for watching. Qatar has absolutely delivered a stupendous race this weekend. We'll be back though tomorrow as we head out to Qatar, back-to-back sprint weekends. You guys do not want to miss it.